Tomorrow's Mirror now, and of all the times to not have a health minister, this might be a tricky one, right, Josh?
Yeah, so this is quite interesting, but supposedly numbers now of people with dying of COVID are higher than last summer. So that is, I knew that just anecdotally, a lot of people I know seem to have COVID at the moment or are having it. That's why I have been on so much recently. Just covering it.
That's why I'm here.
Covering everybody else.
But I mean, as a replacement host, I can't judge you for being... I'm the bus replacement service of TV people.
Josh, are you free? Will it get me out of my house with my 5 kids doing dinner? Yes, I'm free. Very much so. But then it's funny because I've sort of missed these numbers. You know, they used to, every day there would be like the updates of all the numbers. So this whole article in the Mirror is all about all the different numbers. And I realised, because I would just get angrier and angrier during COVID, because the way that they would say, you know, people with COVID or people dying with COVID as their figure, as opposed to people who've dying of COVID, and it would just get me more and more upset. But the figures here are definitely indicative of something going on. In the 4 weeks to June 24th this year, COVID was mentioned on 1,000 death certificates compared to 383 last year. So even whether the criteria of with COVID, the fact is more people are dying.
I suppose that's a good point, yeah. Even if these are with ones, people will say, like, oh, if you have COVID and fall off a ladder and die, you'd be counted as a death with COVID. Yeah. Why are more people falling off ladders than this summer, would be the question. If there's an increase, what's behind the increase?
Well, can I chip in here and point out a couple of things? As I recall, last summer we were between waves, weren't we? And I think I'm right in saying that the vaccination programme had just kicked in this time last year. Yeah. So the fact that deaths are now slightly worse than they were exactly a year ago shouldn't entirely cloud your vision, and you have to acknowledge that deaths this year are massively down on last year. Yeah. So it's all about waves, isn't it? And it's it's an impossible tsunami of statistics. It's always been
another weird one is that
impossible to follow.
The numbers are up from even pre-COVID. Deaths are up even more then. So they're saying, be careful. It's like, don't just be careful COVID stuff. Be careful going up the ladder or doing any of it.
Arguably, you can only measure it by excess deaths, and even then it's excess deaths over a longer period than this. It's not, 1 month compared to this time last year. It's got to be over a sequence of years. And there is an argument that one of the consequences of lockdown is that more people are dying of undetected cancers, various other conditions which weren't diagnosed because the whole health service was frozen.